Hello everyone, we're here today to learn how to make an Ohlone style basket cup, which hopefully should look something like this eventually, but you can always make it your own. But we're going to learn a little bit about the Ohlone people. So just to start off, this is a map of Ohlone territory. So Ohlone refers to a group of different peoples who speak related languages. Each of these regions is a different language group. So we live right here, right at the border between the Tamian people and the Ramaytush people, and those are different language groups. And but the Ohlone people stretched from way up here in the North Bay all the way down to Monterey Bay. Actually, there's a really long stretch of people, and all of before Europeans invaded, there were probably almost 100,000 people that lived around the Bay Area, and most of them were Ohlone speaking people. Now the groups around the bay refer to themselves not by the name Ohlone, but by the name Muwekma. So that's the name they chose for themselves. Ohlone is a word that actually comes from one town on the coast, one village called Ohlone. And that was the name that and Costanoan are the names that the Spanish gave to these people, but they use different names. And so now the remaining Ohlone people, and there are still many Ohlone people alive today, call themselves Muwekma. And these are some examples of Ohlone baskets. So they use lots of different reeds and different materials. A really complex basket like this one can take up to 2 years to create. So ours are not going to take 2 years. Several of these are done by an artist named Linda Yamane, who is an Ohlone who works and is featured in the Museum of California in Oakland. She's very, very interesting. So today we're going to start, and we need some supplies. So we're going to need a cup like this. We are going to need some pieces of yarn. We're going to need a bunch of popsicle sticks, some scissors. You don't need scissors this big. Some tape, a glue stick or some liquid glue, and if you want, this is optional, a bunch of beads. So these beads are going to be our shells. So most Ohlone baskets had shells. They actually use these kind of olivine shells as money. So these were baskets that were actually covered in money. So they were very high end, but they used baskets for everything. In fact, this shape of basket, obviously not with popsicle sticks, was used to store. They had huge ones that were like 4 or 5 feet high. They used to store acorns in, so that things couldn't steal their acorns, squirrels. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to cut our cup. So take some scissors and cut down until there's about 2 fingers worth, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and then cut around. It does not have to look perfect because it is going to get covered up with popsicle sticks and yarn. Okay, so this is going to be in 2 parts. The first part is making your base, and the second part will be adding the yarn. So you've got your little circle of your cup. Now you're going to need popsicle sticks. Now, you have to have an odd number of popsicle sticks. So it's either going to be 13, 15, or 17. If you have an even number of popsicle sticks, this is not going to work. So odd numbers are good. So you're going to take popsicle sticks, and we're going to glue them all the way around. So I'm going to use a glue stick, but it's easy to do both. You're going to need a lot of glue though to get this to work. So you want to make that really purple if you're using glue sticks, at least purple glue sticks. And you're going to stick that. You don't want it to go past the bottom, but you're going to stick that on like this. and you're going to keep going around, and it's going to take a while. But I have taken several classes on Ohlone people. They're really interesting. Currently, the Mwekma Ohlone people are trying to be recognized as a official tribe or official nation by the U.S. government because it helps their people access more services and get more help. Most native peoples had their land stolen from them, and so they need a lot of help to make up for that. They've suffered a lot, and it's good to help them. So I help support the Mwekma in their efforts to get federal recognition. So as you can see, it does not have to be perfect, but you want to leave some room between your sticks so the yarn has somewhere to go. I am glad though that we can make a basket without taking 2 years. But some of the finest baskets that were used by like the heads of tribes were definitely things that took over 2 years to make. Some baskets were really, really huge. They were used to store acorns. Some baskets were so tightly made that they could actually be used as pots. So you could boil water in the basket. Usually this was done by putting water in the basket and then heating up a stone and then in a fire and then dropping the hot rock into the basket, and that would make the water boil. So I'm going to turn this down so you can see more what my hands are doing. But imagine not having any plates. There were no pottery. There was no metal. So everything that we do with plastic and pottery and metal, they did with baskets. And sometimes gourds, which are like a thicker kind of pumpkin, basically. But they used baskets for all sorts of stuff. So, for plates, they even wove special baskets to hold their babies. When they would go out and work, they would carry their babies either in slings made out of animal skins, or they would carry them in specially made baskets or cradle boards that they would strap to their backs. But imagine everything you made. They didn't really have cloth. So baskets also were used for sometimes as part of clothing. They would weave things to be part of their clothing out of reeds. And these are the same kind of reeds you'll see like in the marsh next to the bay. One of the popular ones was called tule. They even made really good boats and canoes out of tule reed, which floats really well. And it's just amazing the kind of technologies they came up with to use with reeds. They also had these giant baskets that they would use to collect the seeds from whole fields of wildflowers, and that was a big part of their diet. So they would steam these ball tamal. Instead of the tamal being made out of corn like they are now, so like Mexican tamal, they would make them out of these seeds, out of plants like the California buttercup and salvia and all sorts of different plants they would collect the seeds from. And they didn't even have to plant the plants. The plants took care of themselves, but they would collect all the wildflower seeds, and that was a major part of their diet. And they ate a lot of acorns. Now don't go out and try eating an acorn. There's some pretty bitter, kind of poisonous stuff in acorns. They would use baskets like this to actually wash like 3 or 4 times the crushed up acorns, and then they would make tamal and other like sort of flatbreads out of the acorn mush. And there's actually a really good restaurant, I have not gotten the chance to go, that serves all Ohlone food in Oakland. And I hope to be able to go there someday because the food sounds really delicious. All right, if you are having a problem getting the sticks to stand up straight, then what you can do is get some tape if your teacher has some tape. Miss Hook, do you have tape? Okay, and you can actually use the tape to kind of help hold everything together. Okay, and that'll keep your sticks from falling over, especially if you're using the liquid glue, but really any of this. Until that glue dries, those sticks are going to want to come off. See? They come off all the time. Okay, so the tape can really help keep everything together. And you can use any kind of tape. You can use clear tape, masking tape. I wouldn't recommend duct tape, but hopefully Mrs. Hook has some tape. If not, you can actually use some of this string and tie it around. But tape is easier if you got it. All right, so I'm almost all the way around here. Okay. And then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, I need an odd number of sticks. So I'm 13. I think I have enough space for 2 more, so that would be 15. So that's an odd number. It's got to be odd. If you make it even, you're going to be disappointed later in your weaving. It's going to be all weird. It's not going to work. So we need an odd number. Odd. Because it's an odd basket. No. Okay, we're almost done. We've gone all the way around. Okay, to serve as the base of our Ohlone style basket. And this is going to be cool because you can use this kind of cup weaving as a pencil case. You can stick your pencils and your markers in it. It's kind of, if you do a good job, you could maybe make it as a present for somebody for Christmas. So there we go. So it's all barely holding together, and this is going to need to dry. Okay, so I suggest everybody, it's going to take 2 days for this. So I would let this dry overnight. Okay, and then we can come back to it tomorrow. So this is the end of part 1.